Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanna Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. After some gap, we are taking up this third session, or what we call episode 3 of Hinduism, understanding Hinduism. Of late, it seems there is a lot of interest in knowing more about Hinduism, for in spite of many good developments in this world where we talk about global village all have come together, it's a melting pot, people are mixing easily, etc. In spite of all that, alas, there seems to be a great lot of misunderstanding too. Number one, among people who do not belong to Hinduism, and what is more saddening is among many people, old and young, belonging to Hinduism, there is a lot of misunderstanding or lack of understanding, and as a result, everybody is paying a price. Ignorance is no excuse for law, goes a saying that applies to ignorance about our own religion also. Therefore, let's get down to some aspects of Hinduism. Let me try to present a few slides. Here we go. And we will especially be looking at certain topics on which there is criticism thrown at Hindu religion or Hindu way of living. So we are here. I hope this slide is visible. If it is not, one of you turn the mic on and let me know. Otherwise, I presume that you are seeing the first slide. Webinar 246, Understanding Hinduism, Episode 3, Sunday, June 11, 2023. Picking up from where we left, carrying on from there, I wish to say something which was missed out last time. We have a whole lot of scriptures, countless scriptures, but is there some confusion about what scripture to follow and how do we decide what is right, what is wrong? The issue of right and wrong is covered under the general word dharma. Kaha dharmaha, kaha adharmaha is a Sanskrit way of asking what is the right thing to do, what is wrong. Manusmriti, in its second chapter, 6th shloka, says, Vedaha dharma moolam. In Sanātana Dharma, though 99% of us do not know the Vedas, technically speaking, Vedas are the highest authority. Akhilam dharma moolam. It is the entire source of guidance in matters of virtue, right living, right conduct, and so on. That being the top authority, we understand many a time either we don't have access to Vedas, we don't know the language, we don't know the interpretations, or we know a little, but that portion we know seems to not address a particular conflict that we have. Then the shloka in Manusmriti gives the second option. When Vedas are not giving you the solution, then go for Smriti and Sheelam together, Smriti Sheele cha Tadvidam. There are a few at present time or in olden days who had grasped or who have grasped Vedic teachings, and they can tell us what the Vedic guidance would be or their conduct itself. The remembered wisdom, Smriti, and the conduct of the knowers of Veda are the second authority. Learn from them, get the solution from them. Do not hesitate to consult somebody whose life is very much transparent and they have won our confidence. Suppose we don't find anybody like that around and time is running out, then okay, leave Vedic scholars aside. Acharaschaiva sadhunam. There may be very pious, honest people around us who surely don't have a vested interest, who are not hijacked by some lobby of some kind, who really are concerned with our well-being. They are sadhus. Sadhunam achara is the third option. And interestingly, the fourth option is the so-called voice of our own conscience. I said interestingly because today in this Kali Yuga or whatever you call, a lot of people have no patience to ask anybody to refer to some text, to study a little bit of Dharma Grantha. They say, I go by my own inner voice. Oh dear, at any point in life, your inner voice could be clouded, it could be prejudiced, it could be ignorant. Your inner voice does have a certain value. We do give a place to your inner voice, but that should be the last resort. If everybody says, I went by inner voice, there would be so much of chaos. We need to learn to be receptive, to bow down a little bit, if not fully, before people, before holy books, which do have a lot of right stuff to give to us. So this inner voice could be a big deceit. At different times in our life, our inner voice said many things. And many a time, because we followed our inner voice, later we discovered, oh my God, I was so ignorant at that time. Please know that the so-called inner voice needs to be educated. Even these sessions are for educating ourselves and thereby educating the so-called conscience. A well-informed conscience can guide us well, an ill-informed conscience can misguide us. Vedokhilam dharmamulam smritishile cha tadvidam acharaschaiva sadhunam atmanastushtireva cha. The sequence also is important. Now we arrive at a couple of topics that are handpicked for this third episode. And here we talk about what some Western professor or academician called the three Ks. Though the English spelling for cow and caste begin with C, not K, in terms of pronunciation, it is cow, karma, caste, as though the words begin with a K. So I must at this juncture let you know how in August 1893, Swami Vivekananda gave an immortal speech in the Parliament of World's Religions in Chicago. And he was given just 5 minutes on the first day. But rest is history. In those 5 minutes, he actually won the admiration of the huge crowd who wanted to hear him again and again. And all of you know it. In that speech, for the first 5 minutes only, first day 5 minutes, he says there is a problem in this world. Every religion is wonderful, but members of every religion tend to make the mistake of thinking their religion is perfect, other religions are all laughably erroneous, especially because India was ruled. India was ruled for 1,000 years by alien cultures. We are at the receiving end, even in this century. In my village where I grew up, they used to say, if a rich man eats some mud, some clay, some soil behind his house, a rich man is eating. People would say, hey, look at that. If he is eating that soil, it must be having medicinal qualities. If a poor man takes that same soil and puts it in his mouth, do you know what the society says? They would say, poor man, he doesn't seem to have anything to eat. Therefore, he is putting soil in his mouth. Like that, friends, it seems to me that this country, because of foreign rule, lot of exploitation, lot of wealth from this country being taken away in shiploads of valuables, gold, grains, and so on were taken away. The country was in many ways, not just wealth being taken away. A lot of things happened. And now, even though India is rising, the Western world especially, and alas, a large number of people of Indian origin who have been brainwashed by the Western world, tend to look at many things in Hinduism, like the poor man eating soil is called, oh, he has nothing to eat. Misunderstanding. They look at Hinduism with a fault-finding attitude. So Vivekananda gave the example or the metaphor of a frog in a well. A little frog in a little well thought that that is all the water that could ever be in the world. And when a frog from a sea nearby somehow found itself in this well, very humorously he narrates in his speech, though there is no voice recording at all, it has been put in the voice of people on occasions. So you have audio tapes also, not his voice, but somebody. We once found a tape. We really believed it was Swami Vivekananda's original voice. And later we came to know that it was one Subrato Ghosh who actually enacted, who played the role of Swami Vivekananda in some drama maybe. And he spoke the exact speech of Swami Vivekananda in Chicago in 1893 with a touch of Bengali accent and everything. In USA, on January 20, I think, they observe what is called Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And all over the country, even today, a lot of high school girls and boys learn, memorize, and give out the speech of Martin Luther King Jr., especially, I guess, the one where he begins saying, I have a dream. And they speak the way MLK Jr. had spoken. So likewise, someone had spoken and that cassette went around. Let me tell you, I have also researched it quite a bit. There is no original voice available in a tape or a disc or any other way of Vivekananda. But he said, every religion has a lot of people, well placed sometimes, but who are like the frog in a little well, imagining there cannot be more water anywhere else. So there is a burning need to understand other religions. Christians have to understand Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, Jainism, and so on. And Islam has to understand Buddhism, Hinduism, Christianity, etc. And we Hindus also should educate ourselves on the good parts of other religions. It's a need for every religion, members of every community. Now coming to cow, karma, and caste, Swami Chinmayananda used to say, to eat cow's meat, that is beef, is as unthinkable for Indians, for Hindus, as it is for Americans to think of eating horse meat. Horse was like a family member, especially in the cowboy culture. They would go on the horse to look after large pieces of land where cows would graze, and the cow is raised in the horse. They're very fond of their horse. So likewise, in every religion, they do have certain reservation about some animal. Ask a Muslim to eat even a little bit of piece of pork, that is pig's meat, that would be impossible. So the cow has been of certain special nature, special category for Hindus, and the whole world needs to respect the sentiments of practicing Hindus, of Hindu religion, considering tremendous contributions, a lot that Hindus have given to the world. They cannot really, ethically, it would be very wrong for them to just trample upon the beliefs or faith or certain long-standing tradition of Hindus. For many thousands of years, Hindus have avoided beef, and a certain percentage of Hindus, again, for thousands of years, have been vegetarian, generation to generation, generation to generation. An unthinkable task. How the rishis influenced certain percentage of the Hindus to become vegetarian itself is something that raises our eyebrows. The cow is looked at as a family member in Hindu family. When I grew up in good old days over there in coastal Karnataka, little cows used to be inside our house, tied to a pillar where we also would be around playing, children would be playing around. And my mother would sometimes, somebody would ask, when was your Sridhara born? One of my brothers. Mother would say, Sridhara was born 1 month before Annapurna was born. And Annapurna is not another human being in the family. Annapurna was a cow in our cowshed. So my mother used to remember the cow Annapurna was born in March and my son Sridhara was born in April. So that kind of, they won't do that for a dog or, cat, etc. And Swami Chinmayananda used to also highlight the fact that in the agro-economy, the cow and the buffalo and the ox and all of them, they were so much part of the agricultural economy. Before we move on, there is this expression that 33 koti devatas live in a cow. Recently, some scholars have thrown light on it. Koti doesn't mean 100 lakhs or 10 million. It's not the number. Koti in standard Sanskrit, which many know anyhow, that expression, koti means a kind. Suppose there are 10 scholars and 2 of them are of very high order, par excellence. Then we will talk about those 2. These 2 scholars are Ucha Koti. Ucha Koti means high category. So 33 Koti doesn't mean 33 crores or 10 crores is 100 lakhs is 1 crore. So, yeah, 10 crores is 1 million. 330 million, it's not the number. 33 koti means 33 kinds of devatas. We see gods in mountains, we see gods in rivers, we see gods in the cow also. So, without even going to whether it is literally true, it is a long held faith, belief, sentiment, and the world better respect certain Hindu beliefs, otherwise, they will get it back. That they will get it back. When you hate somebody, when you find fault with somebody, how long can it go? The other party will also find fault with you. Why do you want all that? Respect each other's beliefs. We are not saying you don't eat cow, but don't make fun of us not eating beef. So, 33 devatas, kinds of devatas, dwell in a cow. There is a lot of literature available with regard to, whether actually there are some divine principles in a cow. If you want, read the heavy, voluminous book written by a white American who became a 100% Hindu, who is no more now. I had the very wonderful opportunity to meet him in California in 95 or so. Shivaya Subramania Swami, whose ashram in Hawaii even now runs a wonderful magazine called Hinduism Today. It's a beautiful magazine which goes on providing a lot of good information on Hinduism, news from Hindu communities around the world. Something happens in Fiji Island, something happens in an African town to Hindus, a Hindu temple. Something happens to a Hindu community in Papua New Guinea. The Hinduism Today will report all that. Also, the magazine, monthly magazine, Hinduism Today, reports or provides us a lot of information on Hindu customs, Hindu ways, and so on. So, Shivaya Subramania Swami has written books on Ganesha, books on Shiva, and in those books, there are some chapters on cows, on vegetarianism, on so many aspects of the religion. So, if needed, we'll go more into the cow in another webinar. Now, coming to karma, people sometimes talk mockingly at the idea of karma in Hinduism. Basically, karma is what the West also talks of. As you sow, so shall you reap. Even the West says. So it is the connection between cause and effect. Suppose a man suffers, and we say, well, he suffers, there may not be any cause. Well, for those of us who believe in God and believe that God is overseeing everything, if a man or a woman or a child or a frog or a deer or a cat or a dog suffers for no reason, that would not be fair. As the fourth bullet says, in Sanskrit we call it akrita abhyagama. Abhyagama means something has come to happen, something is happening. Akrita, where you had not done anything at all. Without your having done anything, you get certain terrible problem in your life. Likewise, suppose a man does some good, but there is no reward at all in this life or another. That is called in Sanskrit krita vipranasha. You sowed the right seeds, you put it into right soil, you also watered, you also provide fertilizers, manure, nothing came. And your neighbor did not do any of those. He sat on a bench singing songs, and nice crop of rice or wheat or vegetables came in his field. Would it be fair? We would rather say, other factors being equal, someone who sows the seeds, who takes care of the process that is needed to grow water, manure, etc., that person will get better crop. Ishavasya Upanishad in the 8th mantra, which begins Saparyaga Chukramakaya Mavranam and so on, in the last line says, Yatha Tatyato Arthan Vedadat Shashvatibhyaha Samabhyaha. For long years to come, for all time, God ensures, Shashvatibhyaha Samabhyaha means for all time to come, God ensures that every soul gets the reward or the punishment for good or bad deeds. Yathā tatyata. Yathā tatyata is an expression that is not all that complicated as some of you may imagine. Yathā tatha becomes yathā tatyata. Yathākarma tatha phalam. As we have done, so we shall reap. Before we go ahead, I want to quickly mention one thing. While preparing this slide, I forgot that point. Never mind. More important that I remember now. Sometimes the criticism that is thrown at us is Hindus, when they saw somebody suffering, just turn away and say that is his karma. He is suffering for his karma. Sorry, 2 or 3 out of 10 may do it. Even they are not right by doing it. So, the guidance available in Hindu Shastras is, if you find somebody suffering, if you find somebody hungry, if you see somebody thirsty, if you see some people having no clothes, yes, it is their karma. But in no way Hindu Shastras say to us, walk away, saying it is their karma. The Hindu Shastras say, do loka seva. To the extent possible, if you are able to help, do help. All cannot do everything. All cannot do everything. But many Hindus, many from time immemorial, have been doing Samaja Seva, have been doing building schools, building orphanages, building various things, planting trees. In fact, a lot of preventive measures they take so that such problems would not arise at all. Great kings that ruled India before any invasion took place had raised very prosperous empires where there was great justice unto the last to everyone. Therefore, to say this theory of karma makes us insensitive or indifferent to the suffering of others is a half-truth. The theory of karma does tell us that whatever somebody is going through is the result of past karma, but we have a golden opportunity to serve that person, to mitigate his suffering. So his suffering goes and we get religious merit. We get punya. Even Upanishads talk about ishtapurte. Ishtapurte is an idiomatic phrase which signifies loka seva. Bhagavad Gita says, Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, Loka sangrahamevapi sampashyan kartumartasi. Work, act, if not for your own benefit, act for the benefit of the loka. Therefore, karma in no way encourages or endorses or approves selfishness or insensitive behavior. Now, another aspect of karma is, as the title goes here, the long hand of karma reaches our next life also. In Kathopanishad, there is the mantra, yonim-anye prapadyante sharirattvaya dehinaha sthanum-anye anusanyanti yathākarma yathā shrutam. I put the first and last quarters. Yathākarma yathā shrutam. That's the key phrase here. As per the karma, yathā-karma, as per our karma in past lives or in the earlier part of our life, and yathā shrutam. Shrutam is not some gossip that we might have heard. Shrutam means yathā adhitam. We have learned, we have done shravana, we have attended satsangs, we have ourselves in our privacy studied Gita, Puranas, Ramayana, we have reflected on scriptures in Sanskrit original, not necessary, in Telugu or Gujarati, in Punjabi or Bengali, whichever language. We have done some Shastra Adhyayana, that is Shrutam. Yathā-karma yathā shrutam, souls are reborn as per their past deeds and as per their past learning. That doesn't mean long hand of karma doesn't mean only about bad things wherefrom we cannot escape. If we have done good things, in a manner of saying, we cannot escape from the benefits and rewards of good things. That is how Sri Krishna assures Arjuna and through him all of us in the Gita, Nahi kalyana kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. Arjuna, if you have done good deeds, thanks to those good deeds, it's impossible that you will come to some bad condition. You will suffer. No, good deeds will do you good. Bad deeds will do you bad. In both the cases, the law of karma has its long hands. No one can jeopardize what we have to get. If we don't get now, we will get it later. So then the last part in the three Ks, caste, karma, rather kau, karma and caste. Caste, the Sanskrit word for it is varna. Jati is janma, birth. But caste is varna. Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha. Vibhagashaha or vibhagataha. Gita, 13th sloka in the 4th chapter. Varnyate anena iti varna. A person's personality is described. Varnana is description. And really speaking, differences of personalities is a worldwide phenomenon. Hindus or Muslims or Christians or Jewish people or Baha'i people or the theists or whoever. Take a bunch of people, take a community. There is difference of personalities. But there is a lot of hue and cry when birth is connected with Varna. In fact, for long now, Hindus have become more and more liberal. In certain issues, this birth is being considered. And quickly to make a passing remark, in a Western country, who are Christians? Children of Christians, that is born to be Christians, they become Christians by birth. No other process is involved generally. Born to Jewish people become Jewish people. Born to Muslims are 99%, they become Muslims. And born to Queen Elizabeth, this Prince Charles, upon her death, better late than never, became the King Charles IV now. So in Japan, in many other countries, you have the royal chair goes to people by birth. I'm not here to justify that connection with birth in toto, but to come down heavily on Hinduism seems to have sinister motives. There are a lot of lobbies which are somehow allergic to Hinduism for their own reasons, and they have been attempting to pull down the entire edifice of Hinduism. We fully agree inequality is bad. Vivekananda said something which a little bit differently worded is put on the top left in this slide. All are potentially equal. At a given point of time, two people are not equal. Two children of the same mother are not equal at a given point of time. One does so well in athletics or in academics or in singing or dancing. Another is lost. But the other boy or girl who is lost, who is not doing well in anything, our spiritual philosophy says this other boy is equal in potential. He has everything inside him. But at this time, for some reason, not able to express. Therefore, Vivekananda, talking about caste, said opportunities should be given to everyone to learn, to rise, to express. Some may some may learn, some may not learn. Some may rise, some may not rise. Some may express their gifts, they may not. We do not, in Hinduism, we do not support inequality. We do not support or endorse exploitation. It is wrong. Our scriptures say if somebody takes undue advantage of another person, it's wrong. Exploitation is taking undue advantage just by appearance or just by some externality. If we position ourselves higher, not having really the virtue, the qualities, the qualification meant for a certain position, only by name or fame or whose grandson I am, whose granddaughter I am, then that is exploitation. Bias is wrong. In strict terms, even Shrangeri, Kanchi, and other organizations, what they say is for Vedadhyayana, they would go by Brahmana by birth. Because they would say that for thousands of years, certain communities have adored, have valued Vedic learning. Not everybody values Vedic learning. Just as there is a Gorkha community from Nepal, for generations they have valued valor, heroism. There are certain communities who proudly say, we are Vaishyas, we are fond of trading, we have finance sense, we have money sense, and so on. So, certain groups of people in whom it has been running are sort of given certain patronage by orthodox mutts. But a lot of liberal organizations like Ramakrishna Mission or Chinmay Mission not ask the birth. By birth, what are you? They don't ask a single boy or girl. Somebody wants to learn Gita, somebody wants to learn Veda, somebody wants to learn Gayatri Mantra. Come on in. Welcome. Take this room, take these facilities, start your learning tomorrow morning. However, I must admit at this point, this caste has become a hornet's nest. Anybody who touches it is in for a war. As I said before, too, not only people belonging to other religions or other countries, people belonging to Hinduism and living in other countries but of Hindu background have a lot of things to say against the Varna Vyavastha. Varna Vyavastha is actually personality description that people who are good in certain uh, way of living would be encouraged to go further. Varna Vyavastha does not endorse or approve, does not give stamp of approval to any kind of dvesha, any kind of exploitation, taking wrong advantage. Just 10 days back, I was at my airport and a new book has come. I thought, let me put it in this slide. Some Manoj Mitta has written probably 600, 700 pages. Looked very interesting. I'm going to read it so that in subsequent sessions I can be better informed. Caste Pride, the title. Battles for Equality in Hindu India, he says, in the second line of the title, and the picture speaks volumes. A Brahmin comfortably walks into a temple with a pot filled with water, probably to give Abhisheka to Shivalinga or Sriman Narayana. And a low caste woman is sweeping outside, as you can see. Yes, all of us are concerned. All of us, Hindus of low or high caste or middle caste or anywhere, are concerned about inequalities, and we will fight to remove exploitation, to remove inequality. But if some disruptive and destructive approaches are taken up, if in the name of caste or the caste inequality, you want to tear down all institutions who have been doing great service for many years, whether you like it or not, it would amount to throwing the baby along with the bath water. More discussion will definitely come up some other time. Now, quickly in 5 minutes, I would like to cover one or two topics. Recently, there have been a certain consternation. There has been some agitation about how certain things in our own religion puzzle us. I've taken two such points in this. Why did Rama have to take monkey's help to get his Sita back, his wife back? We would say this is because of your half education. You have heard one part of the story, you have not read the Ramayana fully. If you study Ramayana, listen to discourses on Ramayana from competent speakers and teachers, they would say it is a Leela. It's a sport. Mahavishnu acts as though he is helpless. Leela is a sport. Sri Ramakrishna said, God plays hide and seek with his children, his creation. Trust him. He never really means any harm to us. But if you say, but God is omnipotent, if Rama wanted, he could have just sent an arrow straight from the forest itself that goes all the way to Lanka and kill Ravana. Could he not do that? He could have done that. Why arrow? By raising a finger, he could finish off Ravana. But God has his own ways. If you say, no, he is omnipotent, all powerful, then what about God in any religion? Why is God in any religion keeping his eyes shut as there is sickness, as there is death, as there is murder, as there is a lot of wrong things happening in every religion among people. And if God were omnipotent, that God also should be just sorting out things instantly. So it is all half-baked knowledge is dangerous. Cannot God of any religion simply straighten things out by raising a finger? But no God seems to be doing that. Accidents take place, all sorts of wrong things happen. World wars took place, and even now war between Ukraine and Russia is going on. No Christian God, no Islamic God, no Hindu God. Uses his omnipotence to suddenly stop. But we have to understand. Of course, their theology explains things in their way. Our theology explains it in a very good way, but you need to have patience. Another question is about Shiva too. Why did Lord Shiva carry Sati's dead body around? Another Leela by the Supreme Almighty Lord. Our scriptures make it amply clear. If you read, everything, have some patience. God plays certain role as though he is helpless. As the third bullet says here, Shiva does not need tapas. He sets an example to us by general pictures of Shiva is in meditation. He doesn't need meditation. He is all perfect, ever powerful. So Vishnu and Shiva, Brahma and other god forms have a certain leela. So to take wrong advantage of some little thing said somewhere and not to pay attention to something else said in the same books or by competent teachers elsewhere would amount to deceitful behavior actually. It would amount to, as my example went, to praise a rich man saying, oh, he is eating that soil in the backyard of his house because it has medicinal value, and to come down with a stick on a poor man who eats the same soil, maybe for medicinal value, but say, no, I think you don't have anything to eat. Don't judge anyone or anybody like that. So now, yeah. In the next webinar, we will be talking about a next webinar on Hinduism that may come after a month, on Gayatri Mantra, on Mahamrityunjaya Mantra, where there is some confusion too in the minds of many people. We will also talk about two symbols, Om and Swastika. This is just an advance notice. I conclude by this last slide. Let us educate ourselves on Hinduism. If we are clear about our culture and heritage, number one, we help ourselves. Number two, we can help our critics to see things rightly. We can stand up for our rights, for our dignity, for our own freedom, and help others too. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This, we open the floor for some comments, questions, whatever. Turn the mic on and speak directly, or raise a hand. There is a raise hand in reactions, I think. Yeah, under reactions, there is one raise hand. Then Baji will especially ask, okay, so and so, ask the question. Okay. There is something in the chat box. Is that a question? Okay. Okay. I sent some notice last minute to one of them and he has joined. We'll put him in the regular list also. Yeah, no question there. So, orally, where are the usual opening batsmen?
Swamiji.
Namaste. Can you please show slide number 9 and 10 again?
Surely, sure. 9 and 10. I guess. The last ones, yeah. 9 is an advance notice that we'll be explaining the mantras in webinar 248 because we are doing this alternatively, alternate sessions. So next webinar will be on some other topic, but next to next will be again on Hinduism. Episode 4, Gayatri Mantra and Mahamrityunjaya Mantra will be explained. And 10 will be, we will be explaining two symbols, Om and Swastika. In fact, in Mahamrityunjaya Mantra, there is an objection that cucumber does not fall off just like that. You have to take a knife or scissors and take it out. Why is that mantra mentioning Urvarukamiva? So this morning I had an audio about it. Some scholar in Bangalore had spoken on it. I once more heard it very carefully, and he has given an explanation on that issue. The mantra says, "May I be freed from all bondage as easily and naturally as a ripe cucumber falls off spontaneously." I believe, I don't know about agriculture or gardening or all that, but I believe it doesn't happen. You have to cut it. So the scholar, S.R. Anantamurthy, has explained it. So we'll take it up. That is 9 and...
Just raise. No.
10, Om and Prana Swastika, Gayatri and Mahamrityunjaya 9. This will be the topic for next webinar.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now you can raise. Yeah.
Yeah, please. Prasad Garu wants to say something.
Pranam Swamiji.
Namaste. Nice to see you at this webinar. Tell me.
About the Bhagavan's Leela,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Surely.
I mean, I think we would be helped if you explain Leela in a different session more detailedly, because
Okay.
the answer seems to be very
Evasive.
casual
Or evasive or avoiding the main. Sure, I will. I can take that one whole session. What do we mean by Leela? And Ramakrishna's example, a mother comes from behind, or mother blindfolds a child, and the child says, happy to play. But very soon the child gets so frightened. My mother has let me down. My mother has deserted me, has vanished. And the child becomes suicidal, he becomes so frightened, cries, you know. That's the example Sri Ramakrishna gives. So therefore, through that example, he talks about how you and I also go through a lot of suffering and everything looks unfair, unjust. Sri Ramakrishna says, have patience, remember God, and so on. Yeah, we will take that as well as other aspects of Leela, God's sport. Sure. I have noted.
Thank you.
Okay, Kriti Ramamrutam, please, nice to see you, Professor.
Yeah, good to see you, Professor. Good to see you,
Please,
sir.
you have, I guess, a comment to make or a question to ask.
I have a comment and question together. See, normally, when you see a person suffering, you say that his karma is bad, so he's suffering. But on the other hand, some people, when they see somebody suffering, they go near them and help them in getting some food or getting medicine, things like that. And so, can you say when would one apply and not the other? When would somebody who requires help get the help? So this also relates to whoever put the seed in the soil, he will take care of watering it. If you don't water it, that means that the plant is not supposed to. The plant's karma is the one which does not bring out the fruits of the tree. So this is very confusing. Is when you should take charge of the situation and apply yourself to help the situation.
As regards action to be taken when we see somebody is suffering, the general advice is if you can help, do. Step forward, do it. But our Shastras do not put pressure on everybody to go for social service, etc. Because that is against the general sense of overall balance. Once somebody asked Swami Chinmayananji, you have an ashram in Mumbai, and Professor Kriti Ramamrutam knows our ashram very well. He has been a professor in the IIT, which is so near. So somebody asked Swami Chinmayananji, you have a bunch of young men and young women undergoing Vedanta training. Can you spare them for 6 months for some kind of social service somewhere, And Swamiji was very assertive. And he didn't care for public opinion. He put it rather coarsely. He said, gold instruments cannot be used for some agriculture somewhere. My brahmacharis and brahmacharinis are doing a higher job. For that, we will look for some other people. It looks like insensitivity. Somebody may compare with Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa did so much. Mind you, all Christians don't do a percentage. In our Hindu group, Baba Amte and many, there are so many, the temple may not do. Temples also do at places. But so many businessmen in Hinduism also put apart, set apart some funds. In your own Mumbai, where I guess you now also live, you have Hinduja Hospital, you have Just Globe Hospital and Tata Memorial Hospital. Tata, of course, is Parsi, but there are hospitals and schools and orphanages by Hindus everywhere. There are lots of Hindus, but they may not be doing it with a Bible in hand or Gita in hand. So that's the difference. The local temple may not be asking them to go. The way it happens is a bit different. But coming back to the main point, the advice that go help those hungry people, go help those sick people is not and cannot be given to 100% of the membership. Then all balance will be in. You have been a professor. Suppose somebody had told you, take out 2 months every year and do some social service. It would be practically difficult. As a professor of computer science, you would have been intensely pursuing certain subjects, sharing your knowledge with students, and great service in another way. So everybody should do everything is not practical. But everybody should be free from insensitivity. You can't go and your heart says you want to help those people, maybe send a donation or give a little time, or one of your sons or daughters wants to do social service. Don't say, no, I am a doctor, you also should be a doctor. There should be a certain outlook, which on one hand is free from negative emotions. A Hindu, suppose, says, oh, in my religion, I am not asked to go and serve. Actually, I despise these beggars. That is, second sentence is bad. We have no business to despise, look down, or mock at some sick people and so on. The least we should do is express sympathy and say that I am taught in some other field where also there is service. Service is of many kinds. A mother who raises 3 children with a lot of sacrifice also is doing great service. She may never come, into public. I don't know whether I digressed. Did I touch upon the point you raised?
Yeah. I think about it, but I think I get the gist of that.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Thank you.
We can have a separate chat too sometime.
I moved to Chennai by somebody.
Oh, you live in Chennai these days. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I retired from IIT Bombay 2 years ago and came to Chennai.
Okay. Hope we will try to meet sometime. I come to Chennai 2 or 3 times a year to the Krishnamurti Foundation on Raja Green West Road, Raja Annamalai.
Please let me know. I live there. Raja
Yeah, I will be very happy to see you.
Yeah.
Some 15 years ago, we had a little satsang at your home. Ganesh Ramakrishnan was there, younger computer science professor in IIT.
Right. I remarked at your memory.
Well, that was, how can I forget that? To enter IIT Bombay campus itself is a pleasure. Then to enjoy the hospitality of your wife and you, that was such a pleasure. And to have some good discussion on spiritual topics.
Yeah. We'll see you again soon in Chennai.
See you soon. Yeah. Sorry, others, we both reconnected after a very long time. So you heard us exchanging some personal. Yes, Anita.
Swamiji, one of the slides said educating the critics about the right thing with the knowledge. So when do we educate? How do we decide when to educate or when to let go? Because sometimes, no matter what you say, their perceptions are perception. So
True. So we need to be discreet. There is a saying in English: discretion is the better part of valor. Valor is heroism. You and I should not try to be heroic every time because the other party misunderstands it. Our sincere interest in letting them know the right thing may be mistaken by them as aggressiveness. So we need to assess. If they are not receptive, then we keep a distance and say politely, I wish I could explain to you. Someone will explain to you one day. Thank you. It's not easy because they have been brainwashed. Take even a simple case of idol worship. Some of them in the world around have been told idol worship is sin. So there are so many examples, or among Hindus themselves also. So it's all, they have been misled. And you are very right. It's not easy to talk to everyone. It will be misunderstood as we are arguing with them. They are right, of course. They are right. They think they are right. So bear with this and pray God to give you more strength. Sometimes you need to find a way where maybe not you alone, maybe one or two of you, or maybe you get the right person to talk to that person. Because someone may not be open to you, they have some opinion about you. Though they respect you for other skills and professional wisdom you have, but in matters of religion, they think you are nowhere. So, okay, if that is what they think, if there is some auntie or uncle of yours in the neighborhood, you tell, can you join us over a cup of tea? My friend has some doubts, and you just serve tea and keep quiet. Though you know everything that aunt is saying. But if it comes from the aunt's mouth or the uncle's mouth, or a Swamiji like me is a place, when Swami says that person may listen, and he may even in front of you may accuse me. Swami, what you said makes sense. This Anita misled me, they may say. Though you have said the same thing that the Swami might say. But sometimes, in some of our languages, there is a saying, what comes through the Shanka alone is Tirtha. Shankadinda bandade Tirtha, there is a saying. So a Swami should say, or some celebrity should say, if MS Dhoni says, I love Gita, a lot of people will say, really? Sometimes it is that cricket has nothing to do with Gita, but he is a celebrity. Virat Kohli says, oh, I love Upanishads. Then everybody says, if Virat Kohli says, it must be true. This is a mad, mad world of God.
When they visit temples, there is pictures everywhere.
Really? Virat Kohli and MS Dhoni, etc.?
Yes. Virat Kohli and Anushka visited in the celebrity visit.
Yeah. Okay, last question maybe for the session. Nice to see you, Krishnan and Geeta. I thought you had not joined today. There you are.
Swamiji,
Yes, Srinivas Murthy.
as much as they need to kind of clarify and educate people who are not kind of believing in Hinduism, there's a need to kind of educate rightly the people who think that they believe in Hinduism, but probably their beliefs are what they believe in, maybe kind of blind. It will not be proper beliefs.
Oh, yes. Because within Hinduism also, a Shaiva may think Shiva alone is true and Vishnu is false. A Vaishnava may have some reservations against Shiva. So there are various kinds of, In fact, sometimes Hindus fight whether during Arati it's okay to do 3 rounds clockwise and 1 round anti-clockwise. There was a fight once in some United States city. They were building a temple. And a North Indian tried his best to oppose Venkateshwara statue. Because he said Venkateshwara of Tirupati is not Vishnu at all. But finally, the committee decided Shiva Vishnu temple. For Shiva, they had Shivalinga, which he was very much at peace with. But this Brahmin from Varanasi, Kashi, said, for heaven's sake, don't bring this Balaji Tirupati Venkateshwara. In my opinion, that is not true Krishna or Vishnu. You know. So, in number of things, oh, that is a problem with humanity itself. I'm sure similar fights are there in other religious groups, among Christians, among Muslims, among every group, about lots of rituals, lots of particular practices, theoretical beliefs. There is. So it's a Himalayan task to be together, speak in one voice.
And quite controversial also.
Quite controversial. Therefore, in fact, that is why finally we realize it's not just intellectual clarity. We need our own tapas. We need our own better lifestyle, where certain energy, certain inner maturity, then without even planning what to say, when there is that energy, when there is that maturity, when there is that satya, ahimsa, brahmacharya in the way we live, without planning, the right word, the right gesture comes out at the right time. Whereas we have read big books and we have a lot of knowledge, but at the right time, we just give in, we yield, we lose our temper. Therefore, sadhana is emphasized. But in the name of sadhana, one should not stop reading. Every one of us has to find a balance. I many times wonder whether I should stop giving lectures and do more japa. Then my mind says, hey, your swadharma is to give lectures. Don't cut lectures. If you want, read less newspaper, read less of other videos that come on WhatsApp. Then I advise myself, yeah. That's where I have to cut down. Not in scriptural study. That is my swadharma. So the other day I was in a book house in Bangalore, Vandana book house. I got a lot of books. So one hand my mind says, stop giving upadesha to others. You do more japa. On the other says, no. So thank you, MD Srinivas Murthy. MD and I are friends for 50 years. We went to the same college, but it's a couple of years junior to me. Thank you for that very thought-provoking comment and question. We have all these issues. Between brothers, sometimes there is a difference of opinion. What kind of religion is to be followed? Between husband and wife also sometimes. It's a universal. It's not that only we Hindus have. Universally, there are differences of opinion on political issues, religious issues, financial matters. Human life is never a bed of roses. All right. I guess with this we can conclude.
Namaste, Swami.
Om Namo
Hari
Narayan.
Om.
Hari Om.